Hey everybody, this is Carlos with the Nerd Today podcast, coming back at you. A little more frequent than it has been. Um, Sorry for video watchers. I mean, just pop this earphone out because I'm very unprofessional until I forgot to do that beforehand. Anyway, how you guys doing today? It's been a few days, about a week since I posted my last video. Thank you for everyone for the positive feedback I've been getting on the video, and as well, just to let you guys know, we are on Amazon devices now. You can say the word of a female that starts with A. There's wrestler, last name Bliss. Get the idea. Don't want to trigger yours if you're not ready to listen to me. But yeah, you can just say, AXA. Play the Nerd Today podcast, and we'll play the most recent episode of the podcast. As well, we're still on all other audio formats, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, all that jazz. So please give a like, listen, follow on all the devices. That actually helps a ton. Gets me noticed by more people. Kind of gets the word out. Things like that. So that would be really helpful if you guys were to do that. So today we're covering some more next gen stuff, and we're getting close to the finish line of the beginning of next gen, which is a weird phrase to say, I guess. I do mean it that way. We are getting close to the finish line of getting to next gen. Like November 10th and 12th? Yeah, November 10th and 12th is literally the start of next gen. We're done. That would be current gen. And then I'm sure there will be no controversies, anything like that nature that would have to cover on the show. I'll have to move on to some other topic. I don't know, knitting. Probably the show will turn into knitting. I know nothing, so who knows? No offense to anyone who knits. That's awesome that you can do that. I can't. My hands are. I have monkey paws. For hands. But anyway, last episode we talked a lot about PlayStation because they had their big showcase where there was a lot of awesome news and then a lot of negative news right after. Like, just they mismanaged the end of that complete whole awesome touchdown, and it was like we got turned over at the end a little bit for football fans. American football, not soccer. Sorry. So today we're going to talk about Xbox, actually. Not like we talked about Xbox a lot on this channel, but it seems like leading up to next generation starting, they are just making moves, man. They are not standing still. A la XCast host Gary Whitta. If you're not making moves, you're standing still. That's true, man. Xbox is not standing still, man. I'm telling you right now. First and foremost, check out that podcast. That podcast is amazing if you're an Xbox fan, or just love Microsoft in general, just love video games in general. All three of those hosts are amazing. You gotta show them some love, man. They're awesome. And so, kind of jumping off of that point, we had just recently the pre-orders went up for the Xbox Series S and X. I have a little funny story to tell. So we at my normal day job, we have I work with two other women, Audra and Cassie. Cassie's a mother too, and she wanted to get an Xbox for her son, Thomas. And so I was like, she looks at me, she's like, it's basically Leia and Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. And, being the nerd I am, as in the title, I was like, yeah, I got you. Don't worry. Let's do this. Let's pull up this dude. His name's Wario64 on Twitter. Keep this up. This has all the links. All right, let's open up. Make sure you're logged into everything. Or if you don't, you have a profile to everything. Put the credit card you're going to use on file. Let's get that ready. Make sure your address is ready. So the second they go live, we got to click. So, needless to say, it's it's the day. We're getting close to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when they're gonna start popping up on for us in the East Coast. So we're getting ready. We have I lie to you not, 3 computers going at one time in different websites, same websites, all logged in for Cassie just to see who's gonna get it. I have Microsoft Store. Audra has Target. Cassie has Amazon and Target and Best Buy, all up. Walmart as well. And we get those notifications. Those notifications start popping. We're going. We're hitting it, We're doing really well. We're going, getting. And then we hit the first stumble block. It says in the cart, it's not working. All right, let's not get deterred. Let's not get deterred. We can do this. We got this. All right, let's move on from here. Let's pivot over here. Let's check this website. Let's check this out. All right, not working. All right, I'm checking Wario 64. All right, he's saying that they're already sold out of this place. Okay, we tried. Let's move on to the next store. Da 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 da. All this is going on. There's a good half an hour. It feels like a lifetime, people. I'm telling you, it feels like a lifetime. As we're searching these websites. I finally get it to pop on Windows, on Microsoft.com, on their store. And I'm telling you, literally, Cassie sends a text message to her husband, Jay, who's an awesome guy. Says, like, I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it. And she's, obviously it comes with the territory when pre-ordering a new console. You don't know what could happen. And she's bummed, which I would be too, And then I can see it in her eyes. So I turn around dramatically, like, hey, Cassie. She goes, yeah? I was like, I got it. And then she's like, no. I was like, I got it. And she's like, no. I forwarded her the email from, my email. Lo and behold, we were able to get Thomas. So hopefully, I don't think he watches. I think he watches weird stuff on YouTube, so I don't think he's going to watch this video. But you got something coming soon, buddy. It's an Xbox Series X. Which is funny, I didn't even pre-order it. I didn't pre-order for myself. I don't, I'm cash strapped, man. I'm a father too. I can't possibly afford that yet. I mean, I will down the line. I'm definitely going to hop on the Xbox train. Especially with Game Pass. And we'll get more of that in a second. But it was so cool to do something for a really good friend of mine. I didn't really do anything. I clicked a button. But it was a weird team building exercise. I want to make a Flight of the Conchord joke, but I'm not going to. It was such a cool just building exercise. It was so hype. We were giggling like schoolgirls at the end of it, man. What a great experience. I don't know why that was such a great experience, but it was. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who didn't get theirs, and things like that. There's shortages, and normal stuff that comes with the territory with pre-ordering. But I don't know. It was just fun for us. It was a really good experience, and I'm glad that this awesome kid can get an awesome Xbox. Start next gen right, in an ecosystem he's very familiar with and everything like that. So I'm really happy for him. This kid's he's a good kid who deserves to get this day one. So yeah, moving on, man. Let's talk about the day before the pre-orders went live, man. I just want to start with that crazy story, but pre-orders the day before, this past Monday. Let's talk about Microsoft acquiring ZeniMax for $7.5 billion cash. In cash. The deal will go through, according to sources, in mid-2021. I think it has to go through FCC stuff and things like that. But this bolsters their first-party offering on Xbox to an upteam degree. They've acquired 9 studios? The math's not right on that. Acquired I want to say 8 or 9 studios from ZeniMax, including Bethesda GameWorks. Almost messed that up like I always do with my accent. Bethesda Online Studios, Tango GameWorks, Machine Games. I mean, we're talking about people who made Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, Dishonored. We have Deathloop coming out, Ghostwire Tokyo, The Evil Within, Skyrim, just Elder Scrolls in general, Elder Scrolls Online, Elder Scrolls in general, Fallout. We have these historic titles that have been around since, early PC gaming. The first first-person shooter is Wolfenstein, and Xbox owns them now. That's insane. They own Wolfenstein. They own the IP for them, and then, Phil went on to say later on when doing interviews, there has been and as well as Todd Howard. They've said, in interviews that Xbox and Bethesda have gone hand in hand in a really weird way, and Todd Howard spoke about in his newsletter, speaking about the Cell, that when the original Xbox was being shown off, they talked about Morrowind, and that eventually got ported over, and the first time he's I think we could do this on console. There were so many little things that just kind of fell into place, and it's just really awesome to see where we're at in that they're kind of combining these forces and to see what next gen is going to bring. I mean, this is literally a day before pre-orders are going live, and if this doesn't sell you on pre-orders, I think the future of Xbox is so bright, right? It's so bright and shining, and like learn from the mistakes of the Xbox One. And I know we're starting off even with what I would quote unquote say a limp of not having a killer app day one purchase of like Halo Infinite. It's not ready. It's better that it's not coming out, not ready. Like how upsetting would it be if it was released and it was terrible? Yet they're doing all this awesome stuff. Like, hey, at least we know they're doing all this awesome stuff and they're working toward getting Halo in a better place. That's such a great thing to see and a great idea behind it. And honestly, I've said this before in many of the Xbox videos that you can see on my playlist and on my channel or on your audio feeds. Xbox is just good guy Xbox. Like they have been steadily growing in that sense since Don Matrick's departure and Phil Spencer taking over. They have bolstered their first party lineup. I mean, including just buying with the acquisition of ZeniMax, but like buying Ninja Theory, doing making these moves to continue to bolster their first party offerings and to have a diverse lineup of stuff and not to. It seems like they're not hindering parties as well, and I have some news stories, at least with Bethesda. But we know that Grounded just came out from Obsidian, and that's not a game you would, I guess, normally think of, right, for Obsidian, but they were working on it, and Microsoft's like, yeah, man, release it, dude. Like, we want you to be happy. It's at least from a consumer or games enthusiast standpoint, it seems like they care about their studios, and it seems like they care, about the longevity and what they want to do and the creativity, of those studios and how to foster that throughout working on them and things like that nature. So it's really interesting to see where we're going. We're literally a little over a month away, a month and a half away from these consoles in our hands and people playing them and people talking about them and things of that nature. And I think Xbox has positioned themselves. It's going to be a slow start because they don't have a killer app for the beginning of next gen, but they have all this goodwill pushing them forward to the next gen. And I think they're not playing the same game as Sony or Nintendo, and everyone's in their own lane, getting toward their own finish lines and doing it in a kind of, fun, competitive way, I want to say. Like, Sony's doing their own thing, and I think it works for Sony. Microsoft's doing their own thing, and it 100% works for Microsoft. And Nintendo's doing their own thing, and it 100% works for Nintendo. And all three of them have issues. Not going to lie about it. I can get into it again as well with Microsoft's issues. They're not just this amazing company. There are setbacks. And, not focusing on Halo Infinite, I would have to say, I the fact that it's not ready. Look, I'm happy that they're taking their time, but they don't have a killer app day one. There's no way around it to say that that's not some kind of. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate they don't have a killer app day one. But that's what it is. Unfortunately, where we're at right now. Hopefully, we'll get this awesome, Halo that is great and everything. We see people who worked on Halo 2 coming back into the fold. They're taking their time. There was a lot of outsourcing stuff, which from what I hear from a lot of developer people online, it seems like that's pretty normal, especially with big AAA titles. But I think there was just a lot going on, and they're refocusing at the end. And I know a lot of people think it might be like a February title. I really don't see this. I don't see Halo Infinite coming out no earlier than November. Literally a year after the Xbox is launched, because I don't see how they will be able to manage that. It seems like there's a lot of stuff that needs to get fixed with that title. So I will say that is one negative thing here. Now, another negative thing would be something I was worried about when they initially announced what is in the box of a Series S. Oh, well, Series X, pardon me. But now we know it's also as well the Series S. This velocity architecture. That's not necessarily the worst thing. Is that it is such a custom NVMe SSD, which layman's terms it's a new brand of solid state drive, which is like a very sustainable hard drive for people. A hard drive, pardon me, that who does people who don't know like that kind of lingo and things like that. They created a custom version for the Xbox Series S and X. And the issue with that was the second you say, proprietary or anything like that, I knew there was going to be some kind of issue with expansion and things like that. Now, there's a lot of communication they've done in the recent days since announcing their expandable storage drive and the price. There are certain things, there's ways you could do it. It's not great, at least to me, from a consumer standpoint. It's not a great thing, but it is. Like, I understand how they position themselves and the hardware to be a certain thing. They can't necessarily go in a different route with it. Now with the velocity architecture, it seems like you can do quick resume and things like that, and how games load and how they interact and the ray tracing and things like that, and a lot of the upscaling and things that make it a Series X version, like a next gen version on the Microsoft platform, are specifically tied to this velocity architecture. It's workable in the sense it's not like the cell processors. The cell processor in the PS3. It's not like it seems like no one's complained so far about developing games for Series X and S. It's just the internals of it. So when they said proprietary, NVMe drive and things like that, it popped in my head. Okay, what does this sound like? This sounds like the PlayStation Vita to me. And why I'm saying that is because PlayStation Vita had a chance to just use SD cards, a la the 3DS, and I believe the DSi and stuff they had these. You could just use normal SD cards. Hell, right now on the Switch you can use that too. Nothing proprietary about it. But the Vita, when it launched with a proprietary memory card that was dumb expensive. When I finally got my Vita, it was still dumb expensive, and I bought it off of eBay. Like, everything about that made getting into that ecosystem of the Vita difficult. This is not as intense as that, but it shows some of the signs, and I would be remiss to see if Microsoft did learn from that. They had a lot of smart talking points about this. Now, so we know, for just for feedback, the Series S is launching with a custom 512 gigabyte NVMe SSD, and the Xbox Series X is launching with a 1 terabyte custom NVMe SSD that take precedent with the Xbox Velocity architecture. Now, the thing about that is that since there's custom, you can't necessarily plug in your external SSD, external hard drive, as long as they're there's certain things that you can do, as long as they're 3.0 or 3.1, I think you can use them. That's fine. The issue becomes that you can use them for older games, or to store your Series X enhanced and Series S enhanced games. You cannot play those games off of there. You can hold them, you can have 4 terabytes over here, like a cousin of mine have his 4 terabytes right here, and then when he wants to play, let's say Medium, I don't believe that's a cross-gen game. It might be, I'm not sure. Let's say Medium's not, though. He wants to play Medium. He would have to just move Medium from the SSD or external hard drive, and just throw it onto the Series X or S hard drive, internal hard drive, so it would be able to play and get all the enhancements that we need for the Series S, Series X. Now, anything you have this gen that we're talking about right now, since next gen hasn't started, with Xbox One games, 360 games, and backwards compatible games with the first Xbox, those can stay on that hard drive or external SSD, and you can just plug and play. That's fine. There's a USB slot for that. It's fine. But there's a specific expansion spot on the back of the Series X and S that they've worked with Seagate to create this expandable storage drive that's 1 terabyte, and it costs $220. That's not factoring tax, anything like that, shipping. $220. It's it's a lot to take in, and I'm gonna read a little bit. Pardon me, I'm gonna be looking at my notes. I'm reading from IGN's Jordan Alleman, reporting, official Xbox Series X and S 1 TB expandable storage drive costs $220 now. Xbox Wire had a whole detail what you can do. They had, what I mean, talking points about what can be done with it. Some stuff I already mentioned, as I mentioned, but provides like faster things like that. Larry Herb has a tweet here. You can continue to use your USB 3.1 and external hard drives on Xbox Series X and run Xbox One, 360, and OG Xbox games directly from the external USB hard drive. Games optimized for Series X and Velocity architecture need to run from the internal SSD or expandable storage drive. So that's where the issue comes, right? It's $200 to expand, and now if you're an enthusiast like me, let's say, I was really looking into the Series S, just cost-wise, to get into the ecosystem. $300 is a really, a really big selling point for me. Like, oh my god, $300! I'm in next gen. That's awesome, and I don't need hard drives, physical disk drives. Those usually are the things that always break on me on consoles, especially on my PlayStation 4. So I'm a little hesitant to jump in that. But with this, I feel like, at least to me, and I'm not speaking for anyone, at least for me, it pushes me toward the Series X, because now that has a terabyte. I'm never going to use this disk drive, but it has a terabyte of space I can use. And I'm less likely to want to buy the expandable storage drive. Now, right now, currently on my PlayStation 4, I'm running off a base PS4 that I've had since launch. And that launch one still has that 500 gig hard drive. I've never changed it. Never put an SSD in it. Nothing. It'd be interesting to see how we go about it. Like, how do we move on? Like, am I going to be deleting games all the time like I am on my PlayStation? Is it going to be annoying? I don't know. I like the idea of like plugging in a hard drive, and that's fine. And technically, you still can. You would just need to dump it onto the internal drive, and I guess that is a little easier. I mean, some people were mentioning it, like, it's not like you're all over the internet, have to download the whole game. You just take like maybe a minute to just be like, all right, I want to move, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition over, because I beat it, I'm done, but I don't want to delete it. Move that over to my hard drive, and then, you know what, I just downloaded Halo Infinite. Let me put that back on here. I want to play some multiplayer matches. It'd be interesting to see, but I think that's, pardon me if I jump out of frame while I fix my chair, for visual people. I think that's the only thing that's bad about this, and that's the only negative thing I can say so far about launch with Xbox, is that how expensive this proprietary expandable storage drive is. Now, Microsoft has gone on record and saying they are working with other third parties, not just Seagate, and different storage capacities. So, I mean, a normal 1 terabyte like external hard drive, and I think external SSD may be $100. I just bought for the Nerd Today computer while I was behind you. I bought like a 1 terabyte for $110 for internal, hard drive. So what? I'm interested to see how this goes, but this is, I would say, the only section in Xbox's armor that is damaged, and I think it needs to be fixed. Me personally, and that's not. I'm not trying to be unfair to Microsoft. I know that they're doing really good moves here, and they're very committed to this velocity architecture. So, I mean, I think we'll move on either as a consumer, or they'll have other ways to kind of help you out in that sense. So, it'll be really interesting to see. Now, moving on with some other really news. So we were talking about Bethesda being bought out, $7.5 billion deal. Just kind of want to cover some of that. We have some reports here. This is from Joe Scrabbles, a made-up name on IGN. It's a little kind of funny joke for fans, if you guys are watching. People who watch Kind of Funny. So I'm reading this from IGN as well. Head of Xbox, Phil Spencer, confirmed that Bethesda will continue to run semi-independently after the company's acquisition in Microsoft, by Microsoft, pardon me. Speaking to CNET, Spencer made it clear that while Bethesda games will adopt some of Xbox's new practices, including launching into Game Pass and becoming playable through game streaming, the company will retain some of its autonomy that resulted into some of the biggest games of all time. It's about the culture of those teams, Spencer explained. They're not becoming us. Now, that's very telling to see, because if we have a autonomous Bethesda, I think the one thing that Microsoft can help is structure. Being a fan on the outside, it's easy, and I'm no disrespect to anybody on those teams, workers, anything like that. I think this can, but we've seen the launch of Fallout 76, how early they announced Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield when they're not ready to be shown. There's a lot. Wolfenstein was a disappointment to a lot of people. Wolfenstein Youngblood, pardon me, was a disappointment to a lot of people, and that kind of games and service. I love Doom Eternal, but it was very lackluster in this year of COVID, where it could have kind of knocked it out of the park. I love playing it. I had a great time with it, but that being said, it seemed very lackluster from launch. So it'd be interesting to see where we go here. Now, another thing someone mentioned was somebody mentioned before, pardon me, was what does this mean? Like, does this mean that Bethesda is going to have games on PlayStation and Nintendo? There is like a working relationship right now with Nintendo that I can definitely see continuing. Now, PlayStation thing, I know they are committed, per Phil Spencer, to using the exclusivity deals that Bethesda made with Sony, with Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. So those are definitely it's going to be really crazy to see that Xbox symbol, and not just for Minecraft. Like, we're talking about like full AAA, like story-based games, like launch with that Xbox logo, Microsoft Game Studios logo. Pardon me. It's going to be really crazy to see, and do you, as Microsoft, I think the best option, I was going to ask these random questions, but I think the best option in my head, just to get it out there, would be sell those games, right? I don't think I'm the only one who said this. I think literally a lot of people came to this like kind of conclusion in their head. Sell the games on Sony and on Nintendo, but make everyone aware, hey man, you like, Wolfenstein 3? That's awesome, cool. Just to let you know, man, I know you played $70 on Sony, on the PlayStation 5 for this. If you ever want it, it's part of Game Pass. You can just hop over this ecosystem real quick. Entry level's $300. You get basically 2K gaming up to 120 hertz. Refresh rate, all that stuff. The frames per second. Pardon me. And guess what? $15 a month gets you that Wolfenstein 3 you wanted to play. You want to see what happened with BJ Blazkowicz in 1990? I'm assuming there's no announcement, by the way. It's just how Youngblood ended, the time frame. I'm thinking that's where we're going next. Yeah, look, it's $15 a month. Oh, hey, you ever wanted to play Halo? Cool, we have the Master Chief Collection right here. It's fully optimized. It's there's no bugs like when it first launched on Xbox One. Go ahead, play it, man. Play some ODST. That's a great game. Hey, did you ever want to play this other game? This by this indie developer? We have it here. Do you want? You don't. It's part of this $15 you're already paying. Why don't you just try it out? And I think little by little you get there. Or if it's not that first game, what if it's I bought Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, Wolfenstein 3, let's say, man, that's a lot of money. What's like 70 is 140, 6, that's like what, 210 without tax, $210, and you're like, oh man, I'm 210 in the hole. $300 though. Could have got an Xbox. Hey, they got 3 months of Game Pass. Wow, I really like this. $15 a month. Oh wow, I also keep getting all the Bethesda games as they come out. And wait a minute, I also get, all these other Xbox games. Fable, all these things coming up in there. Gears, I can play Gears, I can play Halo, I can play, anything and everything that's under the Microsoft Game Studios, like before and after. You never know. Like, that's the amazing thing about Game Pass, and I think that would be the best option for for Microsoft, right? Because no matter what, there's always going to be that one person like a friend like, I'm not buying an Xbox game. I'll pay the $70 for Doom 4, Doom 5 or whatever, and Wolfenstein and Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield. I'd rather pay that. I'm not buying a new system. I'm just going to stick with PlayStation. Cool. Microsoft's still making their money from you that way. And then if you're like, hey, I'm done kind of buying this. I'm gonna buy this Xbox. Microsoft made your money right there. Here's Game Pass. Microsoft making your money. Like they're still making money and I guess recouping some of that 7.5 billion that they spent. I think it's a great idea. I think that would be the best way to progress. But I mean, literally, we're almost a week from the announcement of them purchasing ZeniMax. Other than future games being on Game Pass day and date, we don't know anything yet. So it'd be interesting to see. And then I just wanted to end with some more launch stuff. We have I'm gonna go through now. Speaking of Bethesda, a little quick list of the list of first party studios. Now that we have, whew, all right, we have here 343 Studios currently working on Halo Infinite, Alpha Dog, to be announced game, Arcade, Deathloop is in development for PS5. I'm assuming it will come over to Xbox Series X and S. Bethesda Game Studios haven't been announced, but you assume Starfield, and Elder Scrolls will be from them. Coalition, nothing so far, but they are the Gears of War studio, so maybe a 6. Hopefully, I like how 5 went. Compulsion Games, they last worked on We Happy Few. Nothing to announce so far. Double Fine have been working on Psychonauts 2 for a while. I think it's gonna launch right soon after the Series X and S launch. The Initiative, new studio, no one knows where yet. It's been rumored to be Perfect Dark remake. Let's see, id Software. They just released Doom Eternal. They have DLC for Doom Eternal, single player DLC coming out soon, I think in October. But so far past that, we're not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if they port Quake. That's like the one thing they're going to do, port Quake to Series X and S. NXL Games, they've been working on Wasteland. I think, am I wrong, 3 just got released? I'm not sure. Machine Games, makers of the Wolfenstein series so far. I personally would assume they're working on like a Wolfenstein 3, like a proper sequel after Youngblood. Who knows though. Ninja Theory, working on Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, which is like a launch year game, I'm assuming. Obsidian Entertainment, Ground is still in early access. They're working on Avowed. They could do a new Fallout New Vegas, because Fallout is part of Microsoft now. That'd be awesome. Playground Games, part of Playground Games have been working on Forza Horizon games in the past. They're working on Fable right now. Rare, they just launched Battletoads a month ago. Sea of Thieves is ongoing, and Everwild's going to launch soon. Roundhouse Studios as a new studio, nothing to be announced right yet. Tango Gameworks, nothing in development for Xbox, other than I'm assuming Ghostwire Tokyo, which will eventually be ported over. So we have that. Turn 10, Forza Motorsports, I think, launching within the launch year. I'm not sure. We'll see in a little bit. Undead Labs, State of K3, which was showcased at the first party showcase for Xbox. Road's Edge, nothing yet. Xbox Game Studios, nothing to be announced just yet. Their publishing arm. And ZeniMax Online, I'm assuming they're just still working on Elder Scrolls Online, which I think is on Xbox. So that's a list of their first party studios, which is pretty hefty. We have a lot that they're going to be working on soon, so that's really awesome. Now, to wrap this video up, we're going to talk about every confirmed Xbox Series X games again, pulling from IGN. There's a lot of contributing people for this. So this is the current list that we have, at least as of recording date of September 27th. We have Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Bright Memory, which is tentative, Destiny 2 Beyond Light, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, Dirt 5, Fortnite with its next-gen patch, Gears 5 with its next-generation patch, Gears Tactics, which is coming to console for the first time on launch day, Maneater, which is again a next-generation upgrade, which is at that fighting shark game, which is awesome. I don't think you need to rebuy it as well, which is awesome, unlike Control. Observer, System Redux, Scorn, which looks like H.R. Geiger's dream and my nightmare. The Ascent, which I'm not sure what that is. Watch Dogs Legion, and then Yakuza Like a Dragon. And let's not mention that Yakuza is going to launch on Game Pass day and date with the Series X and S. So this is awesome. Halo was pushed back, unfortunately, and then several games will be available during the launch window of the Series X, including Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, which is launching on November 13th, which is a day after Sony and 3 days after Xbox, but that's interesting. And then Cyberpunk 2077, which is launching November 19th. There's no proper Series X PS5 version, but if you buy them for PS4 now, if you were to pre-order now, you have the next gen version free of charge. That's on both platforms as well, not just Xbox with smart delivery. That's also going to be on PlayStation. Backwards compatible. Everything that's backwards compatible right now on Xbox One is going to be backwards compatible there. So, that's interesting to see. Let's see how this goes. And I think, again, the future, I've mentioned this, I feel like I end every Xbox video this way. The future is bright for Xbox, and I think everything is going to go up. I think they do have to address this, proprietary expandable storage. I understand why they're doing it that way. Cost is going to be a thing. I know they're working with third parties, so they can't necessarily be like, Seagate, sell it at $100. Like, no, dude, we need to make money too. So there's a lot of interesting things that coming out next gen, and for every 3 steps forward, we're gonna get maybe 1 step back. So I'm trying not to sing the Paul Abdul song. Anyway, that's it for today's episode of the Nerd Day podcast. I hope this found you well, and I hope you are excited for next gen the way I am. You can always find me online at nerd_a_day. Talk to me on Twitter. You can hit me up on my YouTube comments as well. Again, we're on audio podcasts of your favorites, like whether you like Stitcher, again, Amazon Music. All you have to say is that woman's name that's the smart assistant for Amazon. Play the Nerd Day podcast, and you play the next episode, which is this one. Should be this one, right? So let's see. We're on Google, all that jazz. Please, as always, like, share, subscribe, and catch you in the next one. I'll see you guys. Peace out.